What if you can combine two of the three most important EDC tools into one? Today we're checking out the Oknife LK, and while I absolutely love the idea behind it, I do have a few concerns after carrying it. What's going on, guys? Mikey here from Mikey Daily Carry, where we talk about everyday carry gear, knives, flashlights, bags, and everything in between to help you build a better EDC. Today we're taking a look at the Oknife LK, which was sent to me by Oknife. As always, they didn't pay me for this review, and all the thoughts and opinions are completely my own. One thing I always say when it comes to everyday carry is there's three things I never leave home without. Something to slice with, something to write with, something to light with. Well, Oknife decided to combine two of those essentials into a single tool. A folding knife with a built-in rechargeable flashlight, and obviously that folding knife. It's definitely one of the more unique concepts I've seen in a while. Now let's talk about what you get with this. The LK features a M390 blade steel, which is one of my favorite premium steels because it offers excellent edge retention, corrosion resistance, and overall durability. It is a button lock knife, which makes deployment and closing the knife simple and satisfying. The overall footprint is surprisingly compact, so it disappears in the pocket much easier than I expected for something that's also housing a flashlight. Speaking of that flashlight, it's integrated directly into the handle and it's USB-C rechargeable. It's bright enough for everyday tasks, finding something under your desk, walking to your car at night, checking inside of your bag, or navigating in a dark room. One feature I really appreciate is the electronic lockout. So if you hold this for 2 seconds, you're gonna get that 2 blinking light flashes. So if this happens to be in your pocket and you're pressing it, it's just gonna keep doing that blinking mode. And the only way to get out of it is if you hold it down for 2 seconds, and then once that light actually goes on, you know that you've unlocked that light. Since the light button sits right here on the handle, I initially worried about it accidentally activating in my pocket. Thankfully, Oknife thought about that and included that lockout mode. That little detail goes a long way. What I like, the biggest win here is the convenience. Instead of carrying both a knife and a small flashlight, you can accomplish a lot with one tool. For someone who prefers to minimize pocket clutter, that's actually pretty appealing. The M390 blade is fantastic. The button lock feels smooth. The flashlight is brighter than I expected. And overall, the knife feels well built. It's one of those products where you immediately understand what Oknife was trying to accomplish. So let me go over how the light actually works. It's like your typical O-lights in terms of the UI. So let me show you guys. So now that I've gotten a chance to dim the lights in this room, let me go through the different modes here. You have 2 initial settings. So you have a spotlight pretty much that comes out of this light, and you have your low mode, you hold it down, and you have your high mode. You double click that and you get your turbo, which is pretty freaking bright. Now, when you triple click really fast, you have this like beacon mode. And in this beacon mode, it doesn't really emit so much light like the spotlight does. And then if you hold that down, you initiate the red light and the green light in terms of the RGBs. And there's also a blue light, purple light. It goes to the different RGB modes. You hold it down again, it stays into this circular motion pattern. You can't really tell it on that light here, but it's going through different RGB modes. And then it goes back into that white mode, and then you double click, it goes into a red light mode, and you press that once and you turn it off. Pretty easy UI. It also has your last setting memorized. So say for example, you're in your low mode and you have that on, obviously. I press it once, I turn it off. When you turn it back on, it's gonna be in that same mode. And then if you wanna go brighter, and then you turn that off, you turn it back on, you're on that high setting again. So it has that memorization of what the last mode was. So now let's talk about where I think the design could improve. First, the deployment for me isn't as intuitive as I would like. It works, but compared to many other button lock knives that I regularly carry, this one doesn't feel as refined. As you can see here too, when I bring that down, there's that bounce back that happens where the tension just isn't there. The second complaint is that pocket clip. As you can see here, we're working with a tip down only, and unfortunately there's no way that you can reposition or swap out to be a tip up carry, which I personally prefer. I'm almost just exclusively tip up carry with my knives. So this is probably the biggest disappointment with the overall design. I really wish they would have given users the option to choose. Then there's the biggest long-term question. Everything revolves around this single rechargeable battery. When it's charged, you got a knife and a flashlight all in one. But what happens when the battery eventually reaches the end of its lifespan several years from now? At that point, assuming the battery can't be replaced, you are then left with a tip down M390 blade. Thankfully, it's still a really good knife because of the M390 blade and the button lock, but it's something I'd be thinking about before making this a primary carry. Now, who is this knife slash flashlight for? Well, I think this makes sense for someone who's newer to EDC and wants to simplify what they're carrying. It's also great for minimalists who don't necessarily want separate tools filling up their pockets. Or maybe you're someone who constantly finds yourself reaching for both a knife and a flashlight throughout the day. This gives you both in a compact package. Personally, I still prefer carrying a dedicated flashlight alongside my knife because I like having redundancy and I don't have to think about one battery powering two functions. But I can also appreciate what Oknife is trying to do here. Overall, I think the Oknife LK is really interesting. I genuinely like the concept. I like the M390 steel. I like the button lock. I like how compact it is. The flashlight is surprisingly bright. Turbo, okay? And the lockout feature is a thoughtful addition that solves one of my initial concerns when I saw the link to this. For me though, the tip down only carry, the less than ideal deployment, and the long-term battery questions keep it from replacing my current knife and flashlight setup. That said, innovation is always exciting to see, and I hope this is something Oknife continues to refine because I think they're on to something. If you've carried this LK, let me know what your experience has been down in the comments. I know that other than this version here, which is M390, they do have like a zombie, I think D2 version. Definitely not my style, but this one I can see throwing into my rotation. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and concerns down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like the video, subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. Waka-pow!